tutorial starts with a song, but it's only a few seconds long. Let's get started with animation. Hi there. What you see here is real garbage. It's a total mess, and I'm really disappointed about the result of this simulation. It's Bifrost Graph, and the nodes in this project seem to be totally intact, but the simulation it takes forever to simulate. It takes only a second or two for rendering each frame, but the whole result is a mess. I show you something today which does work, and let's have a look at this graph here. The graph consists of, actually we can delete the input, we don't need it, of a disk shape. That's a disk which I have in the scene, and I middle mouse drag the disk, that's that one, into the scene so it lands here. Then I have MPM nodes, these three here. I could create an underlying color for this group, but I don't want to do this. It's just a short tutorial here to motivate you to use this Bifrost Graph edition, NPM solver settings, etc. Then I have a collider, and the collider is a plane, and that's this one. This is the plane which I middle mouse dragged in here. Now let's go to the very right side, and guess what's there? That's the output. That's basically all we have. Let me minimize this and show you what it's about. Deselect everything here. Up here you see the disk. Down here you see the plane, and this is what our simulation looks like, and it actually performs quite well. And before you try this out, go to the timeline, time slider, is it line or slider, and go to playback speed and play every frame. Now we're playing every frame, and it collides with that plane, and bingo, that's what we wanted to achieve. The amazing thing here, and this is imminent in all Bifrost Graph things, is that you just connect a few nodes and you have quite amazing results, and often very, very frustrating results. So let's just check what we connected here. We have the disk shape which goes into the geometry input of the source MPM fluid. Now, how do you create a source MPM fluid, and how do you know about it? Well, you don't really. You don't get a lot of information. I did an MPM tutorial which goes a little bit into depth of MPM data, but basically you need to know what you're doing, and this is for fluids and for snow and for sand, for example. And the source MPM, how do you find it? You just click anywhere and press tab, and then you type in MPM, and then you get several nodes which you can choose, and one of them is the source MPM fluid. Another one is simulate MPM, which is down here, simulate MPM, and the third one is the MPM solver settings, which are up here. So that's how you create these nodes in the node graph. Now the connection goes from the disk shape. The disk is going to be our particle system, our fluid in this case, into the geometry input. Nothing else goes in here. Output is going to the fluid source, is going to sources. That's a typical thing with the Bifrost Graph. You connect similar terminologies together. So source doesn't want to go into colliders, for example. Maybe it would, but in most cases this wouldn't work and give you an error message. From there, the fluid goes into the sources, and the output is granular particles. I could have chosen volume or cloth mesh or altogether shell fiber strands. That's what goes into the input of the output. And it detects that I've input granular particles in here, but I could also create a more complex output by, well, moving or connecting the cloth mesh in here. That's the open port here. Now let's have a look at the things down here. The plane is the collider, so I need a collider node. Do you remember how to create a collider node? Well, tab and type in collider, and then you find the collider. I create a new collider now if you like. That's that one. It looks exactly the same. I can delete it. And the collider needs something to put the output into, and right here in the simulation we have colliders. That's how I made this connection from collider to colliders. I could have chosen many colliders here, several planes, a sphere, whatever kind of object, and fed them into this collider input. Well, that's basically everything we need. And before we quit, I want to show you something which I struggled with, and that's this thing here, the parameters. When you close this, you have nothing on the right hand side. So when you click here, simulate npm, in order to edit parameters here, which you could do, or to the solver settings, how do you go about it? Now right mouse click here, and here we have show compound information. This opens the info tab, but not the edit tab. Here we get a long description of what this node does, but no way to actually edit it. And I posted the question in the Autodesk Bifrost forum in the area, and I wanted to know how I got back my editing part here. And I got a reply within, I think, 5 minutes, and I'm so appreciative of this fast response. And basically, someone told me go to edit and go to the parameter editor. And down here is the info, so we can move the info down or move it somewhere else. And here we have the detail size, for example. If you change the detail size from 15 to maybe 0.30, press tab. Bifrost Graph takes a second to think about it, and when you run the simulation now, you see basically less spheres. If you accidentally close this window, you go to Windows and open it here again, Bifrost Graph Editor, and now this is irritating as well. It seems to be gone. But you need to click on Create Graph as if you were creating a new graph. You're not interested in this graph here. As you can see, I did this several times. You need to click here, this tiny dot here, and here you see your first graph. I think this is a messy but very powerful module of Maya. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.